Welcome to Let's Make User Management Better in Business Central. Hey, I'm Eric, and when I'm not sitting here and making videos for you, I do have a day job. And even though the day job, actually there's two day jobs, and both of them have those mighty fine titles on the business card, somehow it's still me adding users to our Business Central. And I kind of find that experience a bit annoying because everything is so scattered in Business Central. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here is Business Central, and you know that you can go to license configuration, and then based on what kind of license people have, you give them some permission to start up with. But that's kind of enough to at least get them into Business Central, but not enough to have them actually as users. So when they log in or they are assigned a license in the Microsoft 365 portal, they show up as users. That's great. Then we have, and in here we give them permissions. So you can say that this page is kind of permissions, right? Go on, wakey. It's just started this Docker here. So here we go. We give them permissions in here. But then we have other things, like if I go to user setup, and this is where the words are beginning to be really weird, right? So we can then go to user setup to handle posting setup. And sure, we have all these, you see the menu here. So we have user setup, then we have user settings. So that's another page, which is two things. It's the same thing that users kind of get in their My Settings thing, but it's also the default company, which this one doesn't really control. There's something weird about this field versus this field, but that's probably another video. We got a warehouse set up. We got fixed journal set up. We got, let's see if it's on here. Oh, Microsoft forgot that one. We got email policies, user task. There's a bunch of things here, and it's kind of hard to get a good overview. Let's make an overview. Let's make something that's actually give you some sort of a view on a user. So let me see, where did I put this? I put this right here. Here is a new app, and I think we get rid of Hello World because we don't need that. So I'm imagining a list of users, and then I'm imagining columns where you can see what is filled out for each user, and also use the columns as a way to navigate the users. So we could start with a simple page. User management. How about that? And this should actually just use the user table, right? And it should be a list. And this would be an admin. We don't care about tooltips right now. So this is the user table. This is our main table. So this will give us the first couple of columns, right? So we should have, what should we have? We should have the username, which is kind of the login. So if I go back to this one, the username, full name, status. So this screen is kind of what we want, but better, right? So username, full name, and status. I think those are username, full name, and now this one says state. What is actually state? And what is status? So if I move myself temporary here, you can see that apparently it's the field is state, but it's shown as status. Okay, we can work with that. We can work with that. So state, boom, there you go. So now we have ourselves a page. Let's make sure that when we start, this is the page that we are launching on. Then how do we drag stuff in from another place? Let's make a simple text variable here called settings. It's a text, and we'll add this here called settings. It's actually, yeah, settings. This is control, this is the variable. Clearly we cannot edit this, right? We need a caption saying settings. Then what we can do is that we can make this say trigger and then add a on drill down. So we make this field kind of work like a flow field. So when you click on it, so it becomes a link, right? Then we go somewhere. And maybe we actually do that already. So we will, this is user settings. So we can go user settings, record user settings. Then we'll go user settings dot set range, and the primary key for this is user security ID. And actually, let's make this bigger so it's easy for you guys to see. So this is reg dot user security ID, and then we will go. Do we need to figure out what page it is? User settings. This is page 9214, user personalization. So let's go page.run modal page : quote, comma, user settings. Boom. So we open the user settings only for that user. But what do we show here? Well, let's go down here and then say trigger on after get record again, update globals, and let's do trigger again on after get current record, because it's kind of weird when it's one or the other. So just to make sure. And then we'll create a local procedure called update globals. And here we can actually, let's just grab this piece. Oh, I'm cheating. Sorry. This is like, there we go. Boop. So we get user settings, and then we set a range, and then we can say that if user settings is empty, then settings equal what? I was playing around with the following, so we could do like this. That's a Unicode something, and if it's not empty, then we could add this. So So these are just Unicode characters. There's a few Unicode characters with colors, and sometimes they will show as colors, sometimes they won't. But I have no idea how this will look. But I've thought, hey, let's try it this way. So let's try to run this thing. I need to log in. And we got a breakpoint. We got a breakpoint. Azure app, Azure. This is probably some weird try function to acquire a token. We don't care about token acquiring. So you can see that none of these users have a user setting. So let's go to Eric. And we're not allowed to do the following. Interesting. Let's see why. The table IDs do not match. What did we do wrong? Interesting. So if I go to user settings, user personalization, table, user personalization. So it was simply the wrong table. There we go. Let's fix that. It was the wrong table. So instead of user settings, it's user personalizations. And what is the primary key in this one? It's user sid, because hey, consistency. Nah. User sid. Okay, let's give it a new try. Oh, you see? We are so far so good. We still got this weird thing. We don't care about that. Okay, so now Eric has a user setting. And we got the colors in there. That's kind of nice. Okay, so let's let's continue, because I kind of like this. It's going the right way. Did we try? What happened if I click on this one? We now go to the right spot. Bingo. Okay. Next, what is next? Next could be user setup. So we create another global here called accounting setup. Wow. Text. There you go. It's kind of just copying this one, right? So accounting setup. So I do change the name of the field so it's different from the name of the global, just to avoid potential confusion. Accounting. So this one we know is user setup, right? That we do know. Let's just simplify this, because I'm going to copy it again in a second. So in this case, user setup, the primary key here is user ID, right? So this is not user security ID, this is user.full name. I think, wasn't it that one? No, this is username, sorry. This is user.username. And now we need to run a page called user setup. And we pass the U thing here. Accounting, and then we need to go down to this guy, and then we create a user setup, record user setup, and we do user setup dot set range user ID comma rec.username, and if user setup is empty, then we do this. But not for settings, we do this for accounting setup. Wow, I think this works. And I guess we got that famous breakpoint. We should be able actually. We should be able to add in a setting here saying something, not break on try functions. That's somewhere else. Ignore that right now. So nobody. I think Peter is in accounting. So I'll click on Peter. We get here. He is only allowed to, hang on, January 1st to January 3rd. That's, and we cannot allow him to post sales invoices because that's you know Peter, right? So we got this. We go back. I would have thought we would get. There we go. It's just a stupid breakpoint. I like it. Let's add a couple more just to no, we're in the groove, right? I think one of the things that Microsoft didn't have on this one, as far as I remember, the one I forgot from here is approval, right? If you're a workflow approval user. So let's add that one. So we do the exact same thing. Approval text. We copy this guy. So the cool thing about this page is that you can kind of extend it super easy. If you're an app and you have user set up in your app, you can actually super easy add a column here and say, let's continue the pattern just for my app. Approval. Approval. And now I think the record is approval user, perhaps. Let's figure out what the table is. If I go to approval user setup, what is the table here? So this is actually on user setup, but it's just a different page. So this is actually user setup. So this is user setup again. But do we need to, how do we look? So in order to be a user approval user, I guess you need to have an approver ID. Well, let me know in comments if I'm off on that. Set filter approver ID different from %1, and then we go, you know this trick, right? We need to filter for blank, filter for not blank in this case. So we filter for different from %1, and then we %1 becomes this one. So now we can do a quick or dirty hack here, because we already have user setup with a set range. So we just, we add the other filter. It's like now all the code quality guys yells at me. So I'm reusing, so adding another filter here. So first we do user setup with this, and then because you can never get into approval if you don't have a user setup. So that it's kind of misleading. But yeah. Anyway, this was approval. So that means, oh, wow, come on, what am I doing? Two piece, right? There you go, approval. Let's run it, see how it goes. So now Peter will not have an approval, but if we give, oh, I need to stop running with that thing. If we now give Jennifer approval, she will get accounting also. So we go in here and wrong page. You see, that's the danger of copy pasting code, is that it's probably the single biggest reason for errors, is that you approval user setup. There you go, something like that. Haha, let's try it again. Let's try it again. So I click on Jennifer, approval, I give her and now we are, because actually I don't want the filter here, right? I don't want the filter to open because I have not filled in the approve ID. So I still only want to open the screen with the user filter, not the user and approval ID is different from blank. Because, so now she got accounting. So let's give Linda approval just to prove the point. We'll call her Linda. Approver ID. Hang on, it's who needs to approve a user. I'm way off here in this column action. That's interesting. I am way off in how do we determine if somebody is an approver or not, or have approver. It's because they have a limit. Then we need to get into a complicated. Okay, that column might need to be rethought before, but let's add another one. So we ignore this one. Let's add another one. Let's add the warehouse here, and here's the way it gets weird. Warehouse employees, right? So it's still users. So this is not the warehouse user setup. This is the warehouse employees. Again, slight confusion. So we'll do the same thing again here. Actually, I need to start by adding a thing called warehouse text. We'll do the thing up here, warehouse. There we go. And we'll call this warehouse. And what is the table? The table is probably called warehouse employees. Warehouse employee. And looks like the primary key is user ID and location. I think that's okay. So we'll go here and then we'll do warehouse employee record warehouse employee, and we'll do warehouse employee dot set range user ID comma rec dot username, and if warehouse employee is empty, then we'll grab this thing, put it in here, and then we'll do warehouse, and we will put this here, and Bob's your uncle if he's working in the warehouse. Let's see where we are. Oh, so many pages open here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ignore 5. Boom. See, now it starts to look some. So let's put. Now that Eric guy, he needs to work at the warehouse. So we click on that. Again, I forgot that I copy pasted something. So we still have. Did you yell at the screen? I think I was appropriate to yell at the screen, but that was the second time I make the same mistake. Warehouse employee. There's a list and ease. Oh, we got a warehouse employee list and a warehouse employees. Warehouse employees is probably the one we want. It's probably the one we want. So let's try it out. Did I do this right? I feel like I forgot something. No, I did this right. Okay. So we put Eric in the warehouse, and he has to work on location west. That is even his default location. Boom. And we got the checkbox. We could actually extend this. So I want to do one more thing, because quite often, and this is where now we are walking outside the Microsoft model. I think that there's probably we could add the fixed asset one. Let's actually add the fixed asset one, because that's not FA users. What was it? Go to users and see where that data is actually located. So we go navigate and we go to FA journal setup. So what table is this? It's a separate table. So let's add this one, and then I want to take us to something else. So fixed assets, and now it's called FA journal setup, and now I will remember to add the page FA journal setup, and then we need to grab this one. We need to create a variable called the record FA journal setup. FA setup.setRange.user ID, and is rec.username, and if FA setup is empty, then we grab the 3 lines. This was called FA, this was called FA. I don't know if we can control the width of these columns. Let's actually try that. do we want to go with width equal? So what is the unit of width? Set the width of the control width is set as a number of character and must be a fixed number when specified. I guess 1 character, because that's all we're showing. So we can let's see how that goes. It gets us a tighter list. It is one of the reasons I want not just adding 1 column and saying, hey, that's it. Did I break it? I broke it by stopping the. Oh, there we go. Ah, look at that. Huh? Nice, as they say. Okay, Peter. I think I broke it by stopping the debugger in the middle. So now one thing, the client thinks there's we're in a break, but Visual Studio Code is decoupled. Anyway, this looks, green and red might not be the be part of the visual language of Business Central, but we can make a boring black and white version instead, or black and teal. Now, one thing I wanted to add last is that quite often, a user is more than just a user. So I want to add 2 more columns here, and then I promise we are done. One is resource, and the other one is employee, because quite often users are also resources and employees. So we go and we do this twice here. So first, let's go with the resource. Resource, and now we're cheating, right? Because now we are assuming, and this is where this is weird, we're assuming that you are using the resource number the same, if my user is EH, then my resource is also known as EH, which is perhaps not something that you cannot make that assumption in real life, but we can on YouTube, which is a cool thing. Employees, so let's do the same. Employee and employee, and that's again the employee. What is the primary key in employee? It's still number. Somehow I broke IntelliSense. That happens way more often than you would think. Employee card, there you go. And we need to do the thing down here, so let's just copy this twice. Now you've seen the, so this is employee, this is also employee, this is resource. This now is where I'm breaking it by copy pasting and doing weird editing. Resource rec, because I have a global called resource, employee rec, employee, there we go. So this one is now resource rec, and this is number. This is also number by the way down here. And now this resource, if this works first time, guys, I am now the ranging world champion in copy pasting code. Employee rec, and we put this down here. We do Shift Alt F just to see that the formatting goes into where it needs to go. We double check what we're doing because hey, and we hit a 5, and I should have hit controller file. We just wait for that breakpoint thingy. There we go. Go away. Now, apparently there is a resource called EH. Wakey, wakey. There we go. Esther Henderson. See, that's how we break it. This is nice. I'm gonna pat myself on the back and saying that if I had a screen similar to this, it would be much easier to make sure that when I have to onboard a new user in the system, this would be the screen that I would use. And maybe there are more columns to go. And I think the cool thing, that an app could extend this, so I could add like the advanced cloud security app could add a extended security column, and then you can see what users have security added or not. I like it. Anyway, what do you think? Is stuff like this helping? Would you do it differently? You don't like the green and red, I know that. There's also some AL hacking in this video. If you're not done with AL hacking yet, go check this one out. It's a good one. I'll see you there. Take care. Bye.